Hello, big friends! Welcome to another episode of Acting Up with Alvaro, the mini show where I tell you what I'm watching, why I love it, and why I recommend it every single Monday. Also the show where I highlight certain actors or performances that I've personally enjoyed. That said, minor spoilers ahead. Today we're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, as I told you guys before, I'm a huge comic book nerd. I don't have a particular allegiance to either Marvel or DC Comics. I think they both have really excellent stories to tell. But I wanted to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League this week because it's so different but also very similar to the theatrical release of the Justice League. And so much better in so many ways too. Now, for those of you who have watched the theatrical release of the Justice League, you might remember there was a lot going on in a short span of only 2 hours. And that's because I feel like the DC cinematic universe was really rushed in comparison to Marvel's cinematic universe. Marvel gave us plenty of movies before they built up to the Avengers. However, Justice League gave us, 3 or 4 movies before this big movie came out? I think they were really hungry to match up to Marvel. And in some ways it worked, and in some ways it didn't. And I say that because most of the Marvel movies feature standalone superhero movies building up to the assembly of the Avengers. But DCEU threw in Aquaman in there, The Flash, Cyborg, all in one movie without really giving that much detail about their backstories. And that's why it didn't do so well in theaters. But heck, I still enjoyed it. But I will say, after this weekend, I spent 4 hours watching Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, and I have no regrets. Sure, I lost focus at some points, but overall, the action was great, the backstorytelling was great. If Zack Snyder was able to produce this and condense this into a 2-hour movie, I still don't know how well it would have done. But thank you, HBO Max, for releasing this cut. And as you guys know, Zack Snyder is known for his very dark and gritty cinematic style. So I will say that worked really well at some points in this cut, but it's still really lacking the comedic relief department that Marvel usually thrives in. And I think that's okay, because of course we want them to be different. So in this one we see a lot of blood, a lot of more swearing, and a lot of epic battle scenes. I thought it was quite welcomed. And to think this was rated R, because if it was released in theaters, it probably would have been rated PG-13. And I will say I thought the acting was great as usual for all these characters. A lot of the same clips were used from the original theatrical release movie, except this one, had to elaborate a lot more thanks to the extra added time. One of my favorite scenes from the movie was when they battled the big bad at the end. But again, in this time, it's so much more gory, I guess you can say, in comparison to the theatrical release movie, because the way they defeat him is just crazy. And of course, this sets up for future Justice League movies, which unfortunately will not ever come to fruition. Partly because this movie that came out for HBO Max is, again, Zack Snyder's cut, which means it's not canon to the theatrical released movies. And I'm a little upset about that because, again, the end, what is going on? You have people working together who you would never think would work together, but it does the job of making you want more, making you want to see what happens next. I don't know what will come of future DC projects, but either way, I'm still excited. Again, I'm a fan of Marvel and DC. But I will say, if you guys have 4 hours to spare, I would definitely recommend watching this movie. It's really entertaining, great action, and I think you'll be very much entertained. But that's it for this episode, friends. Take care, and I will see you next Monday.